Hello, and thank you for joining us today in our study of the book of Psalms. Today we're in Psalm 131. We're continuing the section through the songs of ascents, and this particular psalm is written by David. And it's very short, it's only 3 verses in length, and yet there's a power to what David has to say that is very important for us to recognize and to consider. So let's look at what David says in Psalm 131. Beginning in verse 1, we read, Lord, my heart is not haughty, nor my eyes lofty, neither do I concern myself with great matters, nor with things too profound for me. Surely I have calmed and quieted my soul, like a weaned child with his mother. Like a weaned child is my soul within me. O Israel, hope in the Lord from this time forth and forever. This psalm is all about trust, and that's really what it boils down to. Our trust in God. David talks about at the beginning of the song, My heart is not haughty, nor my eyes lofty. The idea here is that I do not consider myself to be greater than I am. I am not one who considers myself to be the greatest thing on earth, nor do I consider myself to be the most important thing, the most important individual. And remember, this is King David. This is a man with a great deal of influence. This is a man who has a great deal of power and prestige and honor and all of these various things. And yet his statement to God is, My heart is not haughty, nor my eyes lofty. I do not place myself on a pedestal or above others. He goes on to say at the end of verse 1, Neither do I concern myself with great matters, nor with things too profound for me. This is one of the most interesting statements in both this psalm and throughout the Psalms, at least to me, because here it is the acknowledgement. There are things I don't have the ability to know. There are things that are above my pay grade, David says. Now, he's a king, and he is the one who is in authority. He is the final say in Israel as far as the people would be concerned when it comes to what's going to be done. Now, we recognize Israel's relationship with God and God's oversight of Israel. But from the purely physical perspective, David is the one on top, and yet he says, There are things that are too high for me. There are things that it is impossible for me to know, that it is impossible for me to understand, and that they are too profound for me. We live in a world where so many times people think they know everything. They think they have all the answers. They think they've got everything figured out. They believe that modern history and historical measures are perfect and that science has everything covered. But it's simply not true. There are things that are too profound for us. There are things that are great matters that are above our pay grade, no matter where that pay grade is. Therefore, it becomes important for us to recognize what those things are. And to be able to say, as David did, I do not concern myself with great matters. Not that I don't care, but rather I don't have the ability to change it or to fix it or to in any way stop it from happening. Therefore, I will control what I can control. And what I can't, I leave to God. And that's the statement of verse 2. He says, Surely I have calmed and quieted my soul. Like a weaned child with his mother, like a weaned child is my soul within me. And then he calls upon Israel to hope in the Lord. The idea of a calmed and quieted soul is the fact I will control what I can control. And you know what I can control? I can control me. I cannot control anybody else. I cannot control what anybody else does. I cannot control what anybody else says. I cannot control anything other than who I am and what I do. I will control what I can control. I will have a calmed and quiet soul. And like a weaned child, my soul is within me. I am content. There are things I cannot control. There are things I cannot do, David says. But my hope is in the Lord. And your hope needs to be in the Lord. Because for each and every one of us, there are things in our lives we cannot control. There are things in our lives we don't have the answers for. And there are things in our lives that are above our pay grade in having to deal with. Therefore, our trust has to be in the Lord. Those are the sentiments of Psalm 131. And I hope that these things are beneficial to you. Thank you so much for watching the video today. Next time, we'll come back and we will begin looking at Psalm 132. I hope that you'll join us then. But until then, have a great day.